Hey guys, it's Donnie from databases.biz. Today, in our part three of this series, we're going to build a form. I was going to build a query first, but the form is actually going to be based on our tables. It's when we get to building a report where we'll need the query. So before we build our reports, we'll build a query. So in this series, part three, we're going to build a form to hold the data for our two tables that we have here, which is technicians and work orders. And one quick thing too, also, if you get the yellow bar across the top, you just click on enable content and then that'll take care of that, and then all your um, macros and things like that will work inside Access. So if you ever notice you can't push a button on a form or something to add a new record or things like that, it's that yellow bar, so you need to click enable content so everything works. It's just a security thing that the Microsoft added. Okay, so just to recap, we got our work orders here and our technicians table. So, and before we ended on the building these tables, we had built a relationship between technicians and work orders. And that's why you can see the little plus sign here on technicians is it's already, that relationship's already built, and you can see it's got all the work orders associated with John Burton here based on the employee ID. So you can see these are all the work orders that John had done. And then the same thing down here for Cartier. Notice I named everybody John, but their last names are different. Um, so, so that's that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to build a form, and the main part of the form is going to hold our technician data. And then there's going to be a subform. We're going to create a subform to hold our work order data for all of our employees. All right, so we're going to close this, and to build the form, we're going to do it from scratch. So you're going to go to form design. Just remember, if you're doing this on your own, you don't want to start from scratch. You want to have the wizard help you. You can click on Form Wizard right here, and then select the table that you want to start with, and then go through the steps, and it'll build it for you. So we're going to do Form Design View. And so the next thing you're going to do is this square right here. If you double left click on it, it'll open up your property sheet right here. And then what we're going to do is set the data source. So you click on this data tab right here, hit the drop down, and technicians is going to be our primary portion of our form. So we're going to select technicians. Now up here at the top, we can add existing fields once we've selected our data source. And so right there is our fields. And we don't really need to add tech ID on here. So we're just going to do employee ID and last name, first name, hire date. Now all you got to do is highlight them. So you hold down your shift, click the first one, left click, hold down your shift key, and then click on comments, and then highlight all of them at the same time. Drag it over, left click and drag. And then you can see it's not really formatted, so kind of all over the place. So what you can do is you drag and highlight all of them, and then you can right click, and then you can choose a layout. So you can choose tabular, which goes across the top, which for this particular instance we may actually do. Or if I do Control Z and undo, I can do layout, and then I can do stacked. So this is probably what I'll actually do. Now what I don't like is the gap in between there. So what you can do is right click and go to properties, and then over here at format, you can see right here, this is top padding, bottom left, and you can see the bottom is different from the rest. So I'm just going to copy that and then click here, and then I'll paste, and now you can see I got rid of that gap. And then for this, you can just put it, I like to put like a little space in between. I may actually do 2 lines, so you can see the little dots right here, the grid. And the benefit of this layout is if I wanted to move comments up, I could just click and then drag it. You see how it's making the little lines right there. So if I wanted it right there, I could put it right there. Or I can bring it down. Or if I didn't bring in all the fields, and let's say I delete that and I come over to add existing, I can just drag this over, and then it goes in there for me automatically. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and save our form. So Control S is the hotkey, or you can click the save button, and then F is the prefix for forms, and then we're going to call this technicians. Actually, I don't know if I want to call it technicians. I think I want to call it work orders, because this is all about work orders. So let's type work orders for this one. Even though the main table is going to be technicians, to me it just makes sense because it's about hiring people or having people do jobs. So if somebody calls and you got to do a work order, I want to go into a work order form. Alright, so then you can hit OK. So right here you can see it created our form for us. And we'll go ahead and just look at what's in there. So you can see right here, you got John Burton. You got a total of 6 records down here. So I'll hit next, and it goes through all the records. So there's a pretty simplistic form for us. So we're going to right click on it and go back into design view. And to add the subform, there's a couple ways you can do it. Now you can go over to, let's see, right here. No, what's the subform? All right, you highlight. If you scroll over everything, you can see stuff. They move things around on me over the years. So subform is right here. So what you do is click on subform, and you can just highlight and make it the size you want. So I usually don't try to make anything past that 8.5 mark. With today's monitors and resolution and everything, you can probably go a little bit further, but I try to stay right around here for my forms. And then it's going to ask use existing table and query. So we're going to you have no choice, select that. And then you want your subform to be based on work orders, because remember we already have the main part of the form is based on technicians. And it's going to ask you what you want. For right now, we're going to put everything over here. And so I just hit that double arrow right there. And we'll probably delete some stuff after we get everything set up. And then we're going to hit next. Now it's going to ask you how, choose from the list, how are these things related. So I'm going to define my own. I always define my own. I'm going to select employee ID. Remember, we related our 2 tables based on employee ID. So from the main form employee ID, and then from the subform employee ID. And what that does is it makes sure, like when you add a new record to the subform, a new work order, it's going to automatically associate it to that employee. All right, then you hit next. Then it's going to ask you what you want to name it. So SBF work orders. So that's subform is what that prefix stands for. And then you can click on finish. And then it's going to add it. And I'm going to delete. You see right here there's a title above it, the title of the subform. I'm going to delete that. We don't really need it. We can add something more fancy later. Bring this down a little bit. And it's too long. So we want to make it, try to make it about right there. And then I'm going to bring my main form by getting this little sizing handle right here, drag it to about 9. So now you can see there's your subform. Then I'm going to get the sizing handle again, drag it up to just below it. I'll probably bring this in just a little bit more. I don't want it to be, it doesn't have to be all the way to 9, just to make it more uniform. And let's see, I'm going to bring my subform over and line it up. You see I'm lining it up with the fields. And that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and click on view. So there's your subform. So there's still some things we need to do to it to make it, make it look a little bit better. But you can see, for John Burton, and you can see right there the employee ID matches this employee ID. That's why I left it on there so you can see it. And if I go all the way down to the end, you can see automatically right here for the new one. So if I create a new one, just remember the work order ID is an auto number. So as soon as you start adding the record, it'll automatically add that. So let's just pretend like I'm adding something, and you can see. So I'm gonna hit escape to undo this. And that way there's no new record. So you can see these are all associated. But I can't see everything in the subform, so I kind of want to do some manipulation to that. So I'm going to right click and go back into design view. And I'm going to click on the subform right here. Just click on it so it's all highlighted. I'm going to go arrange, and I'm going to do anchoring, and then stretch down across. So you got different things that you can play around here. So I need stretch down across. So now that's going to do is going to go across and down. So if I go over here and click view again, now you can see I can see a lot more of what's in there, and then I have my scroll bars to scroll around and see everything. What I don't need on this form is this. I don't want somebody to accidentally delete John Burton from here, so I don't want to give them that option. I'd rather them use buttons to delete, so that way they can confirm, do you actually want to do that? This will do that too. See, it actually tells you can't do that anyway, so you don't even need that. So I'm going to do design view. Click on here for the properties for the form. You're going to double click. So double left click. And that brings up the property. And what we're looking for in here is on the format tab is record selector. So we need no for that. And then now I'm going to view it, and you can see the record selector is gone. It looks a lot better that way. I don't like this being called F work orders. I'd rather the form tab just be called work orders. So I'm going to go right click and design view. Under caption, I'm going to type work orders. And then so that changes that for me. So go ahead and save right now. Next thing we want to do is we want to be able to add records. So for the subform, we can easily just click right here and go to new, and that'll get you a new one for the subform. But for the main form, I want to add. I could also do the same thing right here and go to new, or we can just create a button. And since we're trying to learn about forms, we want to go ahead and create a button. So we're going to right click and go to design view, and right here is the button. So I'm going to click on the button, and now I'm just going to do like about that size right there, and it's going to open up a wizard for you. So we're talking about adding a new record. So we want to go to form operations. No, I take that back. Record operations. So record operations right here is add new record. I'm going to hit next. I like text on mine so people know what it is. And then we hit next. And then you want to give it a name so you know what button this is when you're writing any code. So I do command, command button, and then add new. And hit finish. So this is one way to go. I kind of like to add pictures and text, so I'm going to click on these 3 lines right here for picture, and then I'm going to go to find the new, should be a new thing or add record or something. So you just scroll through these and you can find it. Let's see. Yeah. Let me just go through. Let's see. Where's that? So you can see there's lots of different buttons in here for you to use. Just gotta find the one you want. Okay, so here's go to new, hit OK. And then you see that got rid of the text, but I'm gonna fix that over here and say, let's see, to the left. I'd rather it be to the right actually. So right. And then go onto your sizing handle for the button until you get the little double arrows in the middle, double click. And now I got that. And what I could do is I could get rid of that background if I want. Back style, I'll make that transparent. I think that looks okay. Let's look at it. So there it is right there. You got your button with the image and text. And if I click add record, you see it takes me to an entirely new record. So we already had 66666, or let me see, I forget. So we're using 4 digits. So now we're going to do 7. So I'm going to add record. I'm going to make this 777. Make this Doe, John. Hire date is use the calendar for today. Any comments? And then we'll just put a work order in here for them. And that'll be it. So now I got 7 records total added. And you can just open this up and you can see there's the 7th one right there, and then there's that one work order for the table. All I'll do is double click on the table just to look at it. Alright. So let's say I want to delete that last record. So I'm going to add a button to delete a record now. So I already have this formatted how I want it. So I'm just going to copy it so I don't have to mess with formatting again as far as the image in the background. And so there's that. And then I can come over here for the caption and say delete. Then for the image, hit the 3 marks right there and go to delete. Right here's delete. Hit OK. Now, let's see, also for the name, we want to call this command delete. And then for the event, now see here it's got a macro. So we're going to open up that macro right here. And you can see this is what it created was new, which we don't want. So we're just going to delete this out. And then we're going to go down here where it says delete record, and then that's it. So this top X, don't hit this, but hit this top X right here. Ask you to save, say yes, and then we're going to go to view it, and we're going to go to that last record, which right here. I'm going to click on delete record. Oh, well, see, it says it's got work order. So something else you can do, and we'll talk about that later when we enhance this, is we can make it delete the work orders if we want to. But remember what I said, we won't really delete records, we'll archive them. So we would create another field, which I'll show you, to archive a record, and that's where we'll use a query for this form, because then we'll only see active records instead of ones that are archived. So you can see this isn't going to let me delete it because I have a work order. That's basically what it says. Record cannot be deleted or changed because table work order includes related records. Remember how we added related records, but we didn't want it to cascade delete records. So we're going to stop, and I'm just going to down here, and I'm going to delete those records, and then I'm going to delete this record. So now it's going to ask me, do you want to delete one record? And I'm going to say yes. And then when I come down here to click back, you can see I'm back to 6 records. Open up Technician, and you can see I no longer have that new record that I added. Alright, one more thing is you're going to learn a little bit of Visual Basic here. Is I'm going to go to Design View, and let me re-say that Visual Basic for Applications, VBA, which is a little different. So we're going to go to Format, or actually let's see, Design, and go to Convert Form Macros, because what we have here are 2 macros that we use to create those buttons. And I like to make everything VBA in my databases I create, because for whatever reason over the years I've noticed macros they'll error out on me or something and just give me all kinds of problems. So with VBA I'm able to create some traps and things like that to capture those errors so I can go straight to them and fix them. So we're going to click on Convert Macros to Visual Basic. It's going to ask you to add an error handling function and say yes, include macro comments, and then hit Convert. So now it's finished. So what now, when you go over to the event, remember it used to say macros, embedded macros. So now you can just click on these 3 marks, these 3 dots, and then right here you can see it's got the do command, go to record. So this is add new record. This here is just comments that you don't really need. And then you can see. So there you go. So now you got this is VBA code in here, and you can modify it and everything else. And without even going back to the form, here's the one for to delete the record, and this is all the command is: do command, run command, ACM command, delete record. So that's some VBA code for you right there. And something else you can do when you're in VBA, you can always, if there's any errors, you can compile. And then so after I clicked on compile, you know, now it's grayed out. That means that there's no error. So as you're going through and creating your database, and you've been in here working on some of the VBA stuff that you've added, maybe you got some code from somebody, it's always good to compile it to make sure it's not going to have errors for you as you go, so you can fix it then on the spot. Alright, so that's it for this form. I mean, we got add record, delete record. We can also do a find if we want to, all kinds of things. So I suggest you just play around with the form and everything. And we're going to move on to the next thing, which will be queries. And we'll create a query, and then after the query, we'll be able to create some reports. So if you would, just go ahead and hit like and subscribe to this, because I'm still adding lots of videos. I'm going to be constantly trying to update, and there's so much more you can do with Microsoft Access. Right now I'm just showing you some of the simple stuff to get you started, but we'll move on to more advanced stuff where we get into VBA. We can create splash forms. I mean, we can make this thing look like real software. Let's see if this thing still works that I created. This is old. I was working on an Army HRIS database for human resources. So you can see right here, it creates a splash screen, and it says today is Friday, please do a backup database. If you don't know how, please visit, and it just tells them. So that's like a reminder. So I threw in some VBA code to check the date, and if it was a Friday, give them that message so they remember to back up their database. And then it opens up here, and so I hadn't finished all this, but it can give you some stats. You go into employees. Here's a form, put it in data sheet. So say I want to see this person, I click on their ID number, and then it opens up their form with awards and leaves and things like that. You can delete, or you can say do you wish, and we say no. I got save and close in here. Let's see, hit cancel. I want to add an employee. Now if I hit save and close, you can see I made one of the tabs, the awards tab, disappear, because they need to add an employee first before they can ever add an award. And if I hit save and close, it's going to automatically tell you employee field must be filled out. So I'll just put some random numbers in there. Now I'll try to hit save and close again, and then it's going to tell you last name field needs to be filled out, and then it'll go to that last name field automatically. So that's some other stuff that you can do with VBA, is you can get in there and code it. I'm going to hit escape on here. So then I'm going to go in design view and just show you the save and close VBA code. So you can see right here, there's a bunch of if statements, so it's just checking to make sure that these aren't null or empty. And if they are, then it's going to set focus to the field so it can get filled out. And then if everything is good, then it's going to save it, go back to the main form, and then refresh it. So that way all the data is updated. So that's some stuff that you can do with your forms as you get more and more advanced and learn your way around things. All right, I appreciate everybody looking. Again, hit that like and subscribe for me. Also go to databases.biz. You can log in and track your progress and everything, and so that way you know where you left off versus trying to figure out, find these videos. But I will have in the description, the link to all the learning videos in this series, as well as at the end of the video there will be a little card you can click on to take you to the very next lesson. All right, thank you. Have a good day.